This is JP with Political Pop Culture, and this is my take. Sloppy Joe's is a Key West icon. Speaking of icons, this dive bar on Duval Street was frequented by Ernest Hemingway back in the 1930s. In fact, legend attributes the bar's name to Hemingway, who suggested the name Sloppy Joe's after his favorite Cuban bar where the floor was always sloppy with melted ice. This was Sloppy Joe's, a Key West institution, on New Year's Eve 2019. This was Sloppy Joe's on New Year's Eve 2020. What a difference a year makes. There was no New Year's celebration at Sloppy Joe's this year. There were no raucous parties or reveling tourists ringing in the new year on Duval, and Mallory Square was empty. And even though most of us were more than happy to kick 2020 to the curbs were empty in Key West on New Year's Eve 2020. No, Key West was quiet on New Year's Eve. The parties were all canceled, and the revelers turned away. People and their expendable income were turned away by Key West Mayor Teri Johnston, who enacted an emergency directive enforcing a curfew in Key West from 10 p.m. on December 31st and not to end until Sunday, January 3rd at 6 a.m. Mayor Johnston said the emergency directive was, quote, in order to avoid a public health emergency during the New Year's holiday. As part of the emergency directive, Mayor Johnston decreed, all non-essential personnel will close on or before 10 p.m. each night. Persons shall be in their residences or lodging establishments no later than 10:30 p.m. each night. The curfew will be effective from 10 p.m. each night through 6 a.m. the next morning. During the period of such curfew, no person shall make use of any street or sidewalk for any purpose except police, fire rescue, first responder, medical, healthcare, media, and utility repair personnel. In other words, if you were planning on having fun in Key West, you better do it before 10 p.m. and get your ass back to your hotel and be snappy about it. Let's be honest here. This is about power. This is about showing the world the government has the power, whether technically legal or not, to force you to bend to their will. And dear leader, Mayor Teri Johnston's will be adhered to. Or else. These motorcycle cops aren't cruising the street for your safety, pal. They're here to make sure you comply. I want to be crystal clear about something. I am not saying COVID isn't a threat to some people. I am not saying that due to limited medical facilities on the island, using a little common sense in your celebrations isn't a good idea. But you know what else isn't a good idea? Destroying your economy and the very people you claim you want to protect. Key West is not the Key West from Hemingway's era. The economy is based on tourism, and without tourism, that economy will begin to collapse. Who does that hurt? It hurts the very people who are trusting Teri Johnston to do what's best for the city and its residents. How much did the servers at Sloppy Joe's make for New Year's 2020? What about the performers at the Bourbon Street Pub? What about the people selling souvenirs, artwork, or running tours? If you keep pushing the tourists away, how will those people survive? How long will they be able to stay in Key West? The economic realities of living in a place like Key West are already difficult for the average worker. How long until they're forced out completely because they can't afford to live there anymore? This is conjecture, of course, but maybe, just maybe, that's what dear leader Teri Johnston wants. If the tourists stop coming, well, those darned less fortunate people will disappear too. And then she and her wealthy friends can be free to enjoy the beautiful Key West weather without all those bothersome, unwashed people that just get in the way. She's conned the people into voting for a foolhardy referendum on cruise ships, and now her Stalin-esque policies are shuttering more and more businesses. At what point do we, the people, say enough is enough and take control of our lives back. Well, it's not going to be in 2021, at least not in Key West. Dear Leader Teri Johnston was reelected to her position in August of 2020. That's a bad move for Key West. But I hear Isla Mirada is beautiful this time of year. Well, that's my take. What's your take? Is Teri the tyrant really doing what's best for Key West? Or is she abusing her power? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for listening.